high. There's a lot of high frequency going on. There's a lot of different frequencies, and I'm getting a lot of read on what's going on as my system is out of alignment, and sometimes I can actually perceive more when my atlas is out and my left side is out. And it's just been good to sit here and listen to you go through all of the audio issues that we have. Because I got some nice imprints, but we're sharing one microphone because another one doesn't work, which might be good for us to take a time and pause and digest a little bit. Now, some of the responses that I have read and that I have heard from people who listen to our podcast and watch our YouTube channel is great. I love it. And again, thank you to So Lovely Naturals, Rachel, for asking for the diet and the 12 zodiacal archetypes. This is part 2. And others have said this is a lot of information. I need time to digest this. And so it's challenging for me personally to be slower with this because I have so much information and so much wisdom from life experience and helping clients with this that it'll just kind of flow out, especially when I'm talking to you. And we're just chatting like we always do. That's why this is called One Long Conversation, because this is just literally how we talk. But I do want to put a disclaimer on each one of these parts. Disclaimer, this is not medical advice, and this is not formal nutrition advice. If you are looking for actual credible nutritional advice on what is the best diet for you based on your sun, your rising, your moon, and the rest of your chart, please just book an online healing session with me, and I will help you with that personally. So we're going to do part 2 and we're going to do with the second of the 3 quadrants, three sections of the signs. And so today we're going to be focusing on Virgo, Libra, Scorpio, and Sagittarius, on what is the best diet. And for those 4, now those 4 come into how I relate with another with those sections. So, and we already talked, if you haven't watched part 1 or listened to part 1, go back and listen to part 1. If you're coming into this new, you need to listen to part 1 first. What we shared last episode is that it's essential that all of the archetypes don't drink alcohol. I would say no allopathic. If you can get it out of your system, do. It's not going to help any of you. Watch the caffeine for all the signs, but especially the mercurial. So with Virgo, definitely no stimulants. It's going to blow out your nervous system. If Virgo is favorably aspected, if Virgo's got strong Taurus in their chart, strong Capricorn, something that's very grounding. Aries with Virgo, even though there's going to be an internal irritation with Virgo and Aries in the chart, Aries is such a powerhouse that it can do this. Virgo is going to have a stronger digestive system. If the sun is in Virgo, you're going to have a stronger digestive system as opposed to the rising sign, the ascendant being Virgo. I'm Virgo rising and I have a lot of Mercury. So I have a highly sensitive digestive system. Virgo rules the digestive system. So with Virgo, you definitely want grounding foods. It is an earth sign, but you want grounding foods, but you have 0 sugar for Virgo. Fresh fruit. I would say for Virgo, lots of vegetables. Lots of vegetables. And a lot of soothing, lot of very soothing food for Virgo. So like watch a lot of the acidic fruits for Virgo. Do more calming fruits, coconut, avocado, probably fattier fruits. Virgo is so wiry. You'll notice that somebody that has sun, rising, or moon in Virgo, or a Virgo stellium, 3 or more planets in Virgo in a house, you're going to notice that people like that are leaner. Especially Virgo risings, we have a tendency to have a higher metabolism, so we burn off calories much quicker. And so the soothing, heavier, a little bit more fatty foods are better for Virgo because actually really healthy plant fat coats the nervous system and calms it down. I notice that I do really well on like young Thai coconut. I do really well on avocado. I do really, some of the heavier fruits. I've never had durian fresh, but I understand it has a higher fat content. That would probably be a really good food for me. Or jackfruit. Again, I've never had it fresh, but I understand it has a higher fatty content. Trying to think of anything else. And please stay away from starches. A lot of starches, Virgo. You're going to do better on greens. You're going to do better with I have a really fabulous plant-based protein bowl. It actually is not raw. It's cooked, but a protein bowl with greens, soaked nuts, seeds. I would say like almonds are really, really good for Virgo. Raw almond butter. Yeah, stuff like that would be really good for anything you want to add.
Well, I guess I've always sort of held the impression that Virgo has got to be the most sensitive out of like every single sign when it comes to digestion, when it comes to food. I suppose, Virgo is an earth sign. There is an association with stoutness when it comes to earth. That's never been an archetype of Virgo that I've attracted. I have always attracted very sensitive Virgo archetypes into my life, so I feel as though I'm a little biased in that regard, because I feel like every Virgo personality, I was just thinking back as you were speaking in my head, I think I have one Virgo friend who I would say is somebody who could eat a lot of stuff, but I don't actually know if that's true because he and I haven't really talked about it a lot. But every other Virgo friend or family member that I've ever had has had to seriously watch what they eat, or they've had some serious health problems that have arisen in their life of some sort in relation to food and how they digest it, in relation to having to regulate their diet in one form or another. What you said about Virgo rising makes a lot of sense. I am trying to think of like what I would consider to be habitual, sort of pitfalls for Virgo. I don't think I know of any. So if you know of any, can contribute.
So I've known two people who are either sun in Taurus or moon in Taurus with Virgo rising or sun in Virgo. They can eat anything. It's a Taurus. Virgo, I would never put the word stout with Virgo. Virgo is wiry. Virgo is an electric channel conduit. It's mercurial. So Virgo is a conduit of detailed information that you ground down in the body. So Virgo needs to ground it down. And Virgo, you're going to do so well. Like foraging would be the perfect thing for Virgo. I know, I love foraging. Like go outside, walk in the forest and pick up clover and dandelion greens and mullein and wild lettuce, miner's lettuce and things like that, and chew on it and get really grounded. That would be like optimal food for Virgo in particular. Out of the other two earth signs, Virgo would make the ultimate forager. Go out to the apple orchard and pick apples as they're about ready to fall off the tree and have some apples. Apples would be a great food for Virgo if you like them. Eat fruit off a tree. I just noticed that when we got into foraging, when you were in middle school, I noticed how much calmer I was. I noticed I didn't need to eat as much. Virgo doesn't do well with eating large meals. Virgo needs to have small, and the one meal a day works beautifully for Virgo. When you have less to digest, you can literally channel more information. So again, a little bit higher fat for Virgo, because Virgos can burn it off through all that nervous energy, and Virgo can get really OCD about things. Virgo is the cleaner. Oh, look, it's a dirty kitchen. Let me come in and clean it all up. Taurus created all that mess. Virgo comes in and cleans it up. And Capricorn's sitting at the table with everybody talking about all the wealth they're going to accumulate. So that's the three earth signs. So that complete. Let's go on to Libra. Yes. Libra, air sign. We're in that right now. Libra needs clearly grounding, soothing food. I would say for Libra, actually warm foods. And again, I'm a raw foodie, but I would say warm foods and for Libra, like sweet potatoes with like some steamed broccoli and a nice like tahini sauce over it. Libra needs some warmth, and sesame seeds are pitta, they're heating. And so Libra would need something that's going to ground and be very bold. Libra needs some spice too. Libra needs a little, because Libra in the sun is totally the fall. And there's an apathy that comes from that. And we have family members that are sun in Libra, moon in Libra is a big one in our family. And I just noticed they just get lost in the thoughts, or they get lost in indecision. I don't want to make a decision. Hello, cayenne pepper. That'll help you to make a little bit of a decision. I would say Libras need to watch the creamy foods. Too much fat for Libra starts to expand. So something that's going to give Libra some earth and then some fire.
Yeah. I mean, I would have to say personally, this is another one. I feel like all 4 of these signs are the signs that I know the least about in terms of their diet, or that I've had the least experience, like kind of connecting with people in a dietary way on. So I struggle a little with Libra too, to kind of pin it down. I have a brother who's Libra. He is primarily attracted to warm Asian foods and soups and things with things that are hot. And I'm trying to think of other Libras that I've known. But see, the thing is, I don't know if anyone that I know is really eating a diet that like works super well for them. So the thing is, like, what is the diet that works well for Libra? Warm things, sure. I don't know. I feel like it would be the same as any other diet, where it's like you just kind of want to focus on, like, okay, so Libra is an air sign. Libra is about balance. Libra needs to be comfortable making a decision. So in order to be comfortable making a decision, Libra's nervous system has to be balanced. So just like any other sign, avoid eating foods that are high in glucose, high in sucrose, things that will boost your mood to a point of where it's easy to fall from one thing to another. I would also say that caffeine is not going to be good for a Libra. Just like sugar is not going to be good, because these are things that are going to create imbalance and instability. You need to be balanced in order to be able to make a good decision. You need to feel comfortable being able to make a good decision. So I would say anything that promotes good decision making, good mental faculties, that's going to be something that Libra needs, because Libra is a mental sign. They need to be comfortable making mental decisions. Everything Libra does is mental. Their positions of status in society are mental. Their positions that they decide to go into in terms of what it is that I'm going to do for myself and others, it's entirely mental. So it should be mentally based. It should be foods that regulate the mind.
Yeah. Mars is Libra sun, but that's it. That's all Mars has. Mars is really very Virgo and watery. And I know it's very easy for Libra to want to eat aesthetically pleasing foods, foods that look pretty, foods that taste good, because Libra's ruled by Venus, and Venus is indulgence in the sweetness. So your sibling Mars has had, like, as to quote Mars, I ate enough sugar at Odyssey to put down a horse. Yes. But Mars, you might have said put down a cow. But yeah, so Libra will have a tendency to want to go into sweets. And I'm thinking about your father, Libra rising and moon in Libra. I mean, 2 a.m. sugar addiction. Too much aesthetically pleasing food. Libras need to stay away from cheese. Libra can be a dairy addict. And that is not going to help Libra at all. Libra can get, what that does when Libra gets into sweet addictions, it forces Libra to go up into the mind and overthink. And then there's a lack of decision-making skills in that. So again, Libra needs to be grounded, because it's an air sign. It's so mental. And Libra needs to be grounded. So grounding food, root vegetables, like a root vegetable stew would be excellent for Libra. Just be careful with potatoes. That's why I said sweet potatoes. Sweet potatoes, steamed broccoli, steamed cauliflower, some bell peppers for your fruit. Bell peppers have just a little bit of a tiny spicy kick. Libra would do actually in the summertime, Libra would do great with watermelon, which is super, super healthy. I would say that Libra would do really well with some acid and sub-acid fruits like berries, mango, papaya, things like that. Libra needs something that gives a little kick. Citrus would be great for Libra unless you have a citrus intolerance or sensitivity. And this goes for all the signs. If you have a citrus, I have a citrus sensitivity. So you just have to, know about that. But Libra can get too caught up in what I call the white foods. White flour, white sugar, pastas, breads, sugar, creamy dairy things. And that is just going to make Libra way more too dreamy because it's too heavy. That's like heavy, not in a grounded way. That's heavy and okay, now I'm going to go up and I'm just going to dream and I'm not going to make a decision. Grounded, solid, helps you to get focused. Foods that help you to get focused. Anything that's on the ground. Cucumbers are great for Libra. Salads are great for Libra. Grounding, rooted, focused, so that you want to make sure you are giving everybody a fair voice, a fair, platform, a fair opportunity.
Hey everyone, just going to chime in here real quick. It was at this point that we realized that we had forgotten to do Leo. So I'm going to make a quick edit here and we're going to pop back in with Leo. So sorry, Leo. It was kind of funny and ironic that the one sign that we leave out of the equation is the sun, the one that demands the most attention. So without further ado, here we go. Leo.
Okay, I totally know with Leo. Because I was thinking about that in the beginning. I'm like, why do I feel like I'm off? Sag is not a part of that. Sag is in the last of that trinity. Okay. Leo, sorry, Leos. Leo, fire, the sun, the self, the heart, and giving. So Leo, you need something that's going to nurture your body because you give so much and you can just go and go and go and give. And the downfall with Leo is that I'm afraid to give because I'm afraid of being vulnerable. And so the downside of Leo is that I'm going to just become introverted and hide in my room. I know a lot of Leos that are like that. So if you just have sun in Leo, that can be a downfall, especially if you're a Leo that has a lot of air and a lot of water. Like I grew up with a best friend in Chicago who is a Leo with moon in Scorpio and a lot of hiding. And I also had a friend in Portland who's sun in Leo and moon in Libra. A lot of hiding in the house, hiding in the room, but yet this craving to go out and connect with people and give. And I would say and the one friend in Portland that I used to have, he had his own garden and that actually brought him out into giving and he grew enough that he would offer that to people and give to people. And so, fresh garden food. Seriously, Leos have a garden and eat outside, like pick it and eat it. That would be one of the biggest signs I would say that you need to be outside in the sun. Pick your food fresh from your garden and eat it right there. And then you're going to have extra and then you can spread all of that love and give that to your neighbors. Because if you garden, if you have enough space, food grows so abundantly when we garden that you end up having more food than you need. And you can give it to others. Leo is great for that. Another thing that just came in is Leo needs to have a banquet. I find that Leo can be a sign that can actually eat more than some of the others, like Taurus, because Leo can burn off a lot of those calories through the generosity, through the giving to others. So Leo at events where people all bring in food and Leo can just taste a little bit of each of the food because Leo does much, much better. And as long as it's healthy food, fruits and vegetables and nuts and seeds and leaves, Leo does really well more in a group gathering or a family gathering setting. Leo then doesn't want to eat quite as much. Leo's just going to taste a little bit, and it's going to be about the togetherness and the generosity. If Leo is the one who's going to bring the food and offer it, Leo will find that you don't need to eat actually as much as you really get filled and fed and nourished through the giving process of the food.
Yeah, that's interesting. I think what I've kind of learned and realized over my course of like really pondering this question about like what it kind of doesn't, the various signs don't really seem to matter nearly as much because they're all just subdivisions of the core oneness that is. And so ultimately when you're looking at like what is the right diet per person, to subdivide into 12 little slices is it's a very limited perspective, and it also doesn't accurately represent the health needs of every individual person, but it also doesn't accurately represent the total health construct of like what a human body needs. And because I'm as we're going through all of this, it's all basically the same thing. It's all don't eat sugar. Don't overindulge in things that deregulate and destabilize your mind. Eat whole foods. Make sure that you're not overdoing it on things that are too heavily cooked. Make sure that you're not eating too many saturated fats. Don't go too heavily into a standard American diet, because a standard American diet is going to be made up of mostly sugar, mostly saturated fats, mostly depleted not rich foods that aren't rich in nutrients, foods that have been broken down and remade like a billion times until they're basically just like the core carbs and, starches of what it is that they used to be. A lot of heavy meat, a lot of cholesterol, a lot of things that cause your arteries to fill with goop and gunk and make it so that your blood's not, flowing evenly. I feel like all of these signs roughly need the same diet, which is just a healthy whole foods based diet. As far as like the body goes, base it all off the whole foods, and then look at how your mind responds to those things, because we need them both to work in tandem. And so if you find that the mind starts to become sluggish as a result, then add more spice into your diet and see how your body responds. And if you find that the body and the mind maybe are overactive, find where there's maybe too much sugars in one thing. If you've really cut back on all sugar and there's like a lot of fruit there, then maybe cut out some fruit. And maybe cut out things that start to cause inflammation, like spice, and see how that starts to affect you. And I do really like the Chinese and the Ayurvedic subdivisions as far as dietary needs goes. And I think that there is flexibility there because, again, we are source, and the bodies really have a lot of malleability. They can change greatly over the course of time as our consciousness changes and evolves, depending on what our needs are. So there's going to be a lot of things that change and grow as time goes on, but ultimately you can subdivide all this stuff all you want. I don't know. I guess I've kind of realized that I don't really think it matters what the subdivisions are.
And we're just going with the subtle nuances of how the elements and the qualities, which are the characteristics of the 12 zodiacal archetypes, we're just going with the subtle nuances. And as we shared in part 1, it's just fun to go through it and see, but you're absolutely correct. It's like when those of us that practice QHHT and BQH, quantum healing, and when people want to know what the messages are from the higher selves, the subconscious, as Dolores Cannon called it, and we basically finally just break it down and put out that general message out on social media. Basically, what we're hearing from everybody's higher self is, for a healthy life, eat living whole foods from nature, fruits and vegetables, plants. Get really good sleep. Make sure that it's sound. Stay away from stimulants. Don't eat sugar. Get outside in nature. Make sure you're exposed to sunlight every day. Your body makes vitamin D. It's a hormone, by the way, not a vitamin. Drink real living water. Living water is structured water, not RO water, not alkalized water, but structured water that nature makes. It's the same thing. It's, move. He needs to walk more. She needs to dance more. She needs to sing. It's the same thing. This is the exact same thing, just like that. Okay, so now that we know our order, Leo, we covered that. Virgo comes after that. Libra comes after that. We're going to do the last one for this group. Scorpio, it depends on how much water you have in your Scorpio's water anyway, but it depends on how much water. My mind is going to go to my mother, who's a sun, moon, and Mercury in Scorpio, but with a Cancer rising and a Mars in Virgo. So she has a hyperactive nervous system. She didn't have a good start in life, so she's a hyper digestive system, and she really has to stay super safe in her foods like I do. It really just depends on what the element combinations are in your chart. What are the aspects in your chart? Do you have a lot of Scorpio, like Chris Brennan of the Astrology Podcast, who is a Scorpio stellium? Or do you have just like this, only the sun or the rising or the moon in Scorpio, but you got a lot of earth? Or do you have a lot of air as Scorpio? Or are you a fiery Scorpio? It really just depends. With Ayurveda and Chinese medicine, some of the things that I love that those two systems take into account is your body's going to ask for different things depending on the season. When the season changes, your body changes. When it depends on what climate you live in. Are you a Scorpio that lives in the desert? Or are you a Scorpio that lives where we live in a temperate rainforest? Or are you a Scorpio that lives on the ocean? Also, what time in your life are you in? This body's postmenopausal. I'm in a very different time in my life. Your body is in its 20s. You're still in the Pitta, moving towards the Vata time. So you're in all the fiery procreation time. It really just depends. Generally, with Scorpio, I would say sea vegetables are really, really good for you. Again, with all water signs, sea vegetables. I would say with Scorpio, try spice. If it's too irritating, and spice, I mean really good spices. I'm not talking about going out and eating a jalapeno pepper. Honestly, I don't really think that's great for any of the signs unless you come from a Mexican and a lineage, or like a Latino and an Indian lineage, and that's literally part of your culture, and you were literally born on spice because that's your family's lineage. That's a whole different thing. But in general, Scorpio, if like cayenne pepper or peppers or black pepper or any of that, or like oregano and thyme, which are spicy herbs, if they are creating too much intensity for you, like a nice cooling avocado might be beneficial. If eating a lot of starch is too pacifying for you and it's keeping you from like really getting deep into the investigation of yourself and finding more and more and more, then back off for that and go for more leafy greens, more vegetables. If stir fry stirs up too much and you're like too intense, like the only thing with Scorpio is Scorpio can get too intense. So if your food is too intense, it's only going to enhance your intensity. So what foods are going to be a little bit cooling, a little more soothing so that you can focus that intensity on being more psychic in a way that's going to help people? Because Scorpio isn't an introverted water. It's the only water of the water signs. It's the only one that's more outward. Scorpio needs to serve with its insight. Scorpio needs to help others through all of the easy, obvious things about people that others cannot perceive. Scorpio can perceive the different frequencies, whether you're aware that you're perceiving frequencies or not. Scorpio sees what others don't. Scorpio feels what others don't feel. Is your food helping you to get that very focused so that you can control it and then offer it to others in a way that's going to help them and support them in their journey? If you are literally like a mortician, a total Scorpio profession, or a forensic scientist, a total, or a biologist, or a CPA. Being a CPA is a total scorpionic job too, or working for the Postal Service. You know, there are more fixed signs that work for the Postal Service than any of the other qualities. And Scorpio is totally one of those signs besides Virgo. Scorpio is one of those signs that they find more Scorpios work for the Postal Service. If your diet's not helping you with those jobs, then you need to really get back to nature, and you need to make sure that your food is very balanced to help you get focused and get the incentive to be bold, because Scorpios need to be bold. Be bold and put yourself out there and show people things about themselves that maybe they're afraid to look at or they just cannot see. That's Scorpio's gift.
Oh, that was really good. I don't know if I really have much to add to that. You got a bestie who's a Scorpio. I mean, his diet consists entirely of Asian food. He doesn't eat anything really, and he's vegan, and it's like that's like what he eats. He can't really handle spice. He's not a spice guy. He's got a lot of intense. He's both sun and rising in Scorpio, moon and Aquarius. And he's got a smattering of a bunch of stuff throughout his chart. I think that's really the only Scorpios that he has is a sun and rising. But I think he's also Pluto and Scorpio. So yeah, so there would be a stellium there in the ruling planet. So that would be. He's sensitive. Yeah. Or maybe Pluto and Libra. I don't know. I don't remember when that switched.
But he's sensitive.
Yeah.
He's very food focused. Very nutrition.
Yeah, nutrition focused for sure, and then just. But he eats a lot of things. Food is important to him. The taste of food is important to him. The consistency is important to him. It's very important to him that things are pleasurable to eat. So it's like achieving that balance for him is very key of like, is this nutritious but also enjoyable? And I feel like I relate to that a lot personally, honestly. I feel like that was a lot of like what I really connected with in terms of food with him is I was like there's because life is about experience and enjoyment to the two of us, and so it's like we are not people who at this stage in our life enjoy condensing food down to just its base nutrients and going from there on. Like we enjoy indulging in the taste and pleasure of food, but at the same time we can't eat things that make us feel bad, so it's like there has to be a little give and take in both areas. And I feel like I see him representing that very strongly in my life. I feel like that's maybe a watery quality, is to look for the comfort and the enjoyment and the indulgence of food. And food is very pleasurable for water, as I think I said with Cancer too. So it's like, how do you maintain that balance? I think that that's one of the beautiful things that water can offer us, is to really indulge and enjoy in those things. And so I think that it shows us like we can maintain some level of semblance of the art of humanity that is shown through food, while at the same time finding the ways that it supports us the best it possibly can. Because we, as Scorpio will tell us, we're all heading to death one way or another. We can't avoid it simply by cleaning our diet down. If you lived an entire life where food was this structured, rigorous thing, and then you got to your deathbed, what would be your wish? I wish I'd enjoyed food a little bit more. Find ways to enjoy food, while at the same time living a life that feels happy and healthy to you, Because if food comes at the expense of your health, that's not a good thing. You need to be able to go out and do the things that you want to do, but you also have to be able to enjoy a little bit. So I guess that's what Scorpio taught me.
I would also say something that I have Scorpio twin besties, sun and moon in Scorpio. They're archetypes of my mom in my life. I would say they just popped up in my mind. I was like, oh, that's right. Food also for Scorpio needs to be sexy, because Scorpio is all about the sexuality. So what is sexual for you with food? And I want to put this in here because I didn't put this in part 1, and now that we're coming to the end of part 2. If you are going to go out of the fruit zone with sweet, monk fruit sweetener is really actually amazing. And you can use monk fruit sweetener for wherever you would want to put any sort of extracted sweetener in anything. And so, if Scorpio is going to be having like a raw cacao dessert, or Cancer or Pisces, because yes, they need the sensuality of the food. All 3 of the water signs need that kind of emotional sensuality and that sexy aspect of the food. Monk fruit sweetener in cacao, in coconut, and almond, and because almonds are kind of sexy food. There's that oil in them that's just amazing. So I would definitely recommend to Scorpio, have some food that's super sexy and that makes you feel really sexual, to help you to then get into that and really offer that to people, because that's what Scorpio is adding to the world, is the sexuality, the creation. It's amazing. Okay, so next week then, and I got to remember this, I have to create that structure for myself. We only got 4 left. Sagittarius, Capricorn, Aquarius, and Pisces will be next week, and we'll see if we can figure out our audio situation. But Again, this is not an absolute. This is just us just enjoying talking about this. And if you are really interested in learning specifically what is optimal for your body, book a session with me and I'll help you with that.
Thank you so much to everyone who listened to this week's episode of the podcast. Feel free to check us out on Instagram at One Long Conversation to get some updates on our future episodes, our future content. You can also follow us on Patreon and become a member. We have a lot of interesting and awesome perks and cool ways to connect with us and our community that we're forming there. So go over to Patreon at One Long Conversation, and you'll find us there. We also have these episodes going out on YouTube now. So if you go to YouTube, yet again, at One Long Conversation, you will find video versions of these episodes. So yeah, thank you so much. We'll see you next time.